Yep, so this episode is called The Price of Gold, and all I can say is, oh snap! Mr. Gold is super evil, but what's up with his obsession with babies? I think somebody's internal clock is ticking.
Well, it goes back to the Rumpelstiltskin fable. There is a lot to do with babies, like if he knows the names of the babies. I don't know. If you guys know the tale, like...
It's just super creepy,
write
though.
in the comments.
Just saying, like, look at his face. Would you want that to hold your child?
This episode is all about one of your favorite staple princesses, which is Cinderella.
And in this episode, her name is actually just Ella.
Okay, yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. And the reason for that is because her name is Ella, but she works in the cinders, which is cinders are ashes, and she was always covered in ash, so that's why they called her Cinderella.
Get it, Cinderella.
And in the real world, her name is Ashley.
Okay.
So it's play on words.
Okay, very cool. And then Ashley is in a lot of trouble. She's a young girl, kind of super preggers, and you're like, what's the deal with her? And she's kind of like crying. Emma kind of finds her crying.
So Emma spilled something on her shirt and had to go do laundry really quickly.
Okay.
And she walks into the laundry room and finds Ashley crying, and she's like, you'll be okay? And she's like, it's like she's at the ugly cry state where like nothing makes sense, your face is contorted and it shouldn't be contorted, and Emma's like, this is awkward.
This is very awkward. And you find out it's a lot because Ashley is giving up her baby, and Emma's like doesn't understand but tries to counsel her and say, you can do this and you can have this baby, and people are rooting against you, but you have to prove them wrong. And you see that Emma's almost like talking to herself because obviously she went through the same thing with Henry. Like,
yeah,
she ended up giving him up.
It doesn't matter if you're young, like you can still be a good mom.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Like, and your mistakes from the past, they don't count towards right now.
Exactly. And then we find out what exactly is Cinderella's past, and of course it has to do with the evilest of them all. Exactly. Enter evil laugh. We find out in the fairy tale world that Cinderella is wanting to go to the ball, and she's just this kind of semi-mistreated young woman, and
her fairy godmother comes in, and she's super happy until Rumpelstiltskin blows up her fairy godmother. What a jerk.
Like you didn't see that coming.
No, I really didn't see that coming, and it pissed me off. And what is your problem, Rumple?
He just said bye.
He was like,
gone. And he ends up becoming the evil fairy godmother, kind of, in this scene.
He's more like the godfather, okay? He's got a pinky ring, and he says, you know, you do me a favor, I'll do you a favor.
He makes deals. That's who he is. He's the godfather. He's a fairy godfather. Anyways, she takes the favor.
She does. So he says, you want to go to the bar? That's okay. I give you these shoes, but I need to know who your child is. I want it for my property.
Does he promise, does she know that she...
He tells her to read the contract, and she's like, yeah, whatever, just sign it.
She
like
signs
I'll
it,
do, okay?
and
that's like
doesn't read it.
That's like when Apple sends you the new update for the iTunes, and you're like, yeah, click it, I read it. I promise I read it. Just let me go, listen to iTunes. You didn't read it. You didn't. There's sections A through K, and I promise you read. Check the box here if you read it. That's all you read.
Exactly, and then you get things that you didn't
Apple
know you were
owns
signing
3
up
of
for.
your babies.
Exactly. And we find out that, yes, Cinderella gets to go to the ball. There's this great scene of them all at the ball, and Snow and Charming are there, and it's just like, boo, reunion, boo, boo.
Like beautiful.
She gets all her dreams come true, and you're like,
and
yes.
she finds a prince.
Yes, you're like, she's home safe.
Yeah.
Cinderella's a boss. Yes, this is her story. No.
Nope.
Rumpelstiltskin cuts into the ball, starts dancing with her, and says, my dearie, my dearest, the price that you pay is that I get to keep your firstborn. Of course he wants a baby.
Like, a correlation in the real world is that the person that Ashley is giving her child to is actually Mr. Gold.
Yes.
Rumpelstiltskin. So it happens in both.
And it's really cool. I love this show because they don't make it cheesy or unrealistic. They make it like what happens in the real world. Sometimes moms can't do it, and they, you know, they give their baby away.
For money.
They strike a deal, and in this world, the deal is with Mr. Gold, and it makes sense. If he already signed papers, if the baby already belongs to him, it wasn't too far of a jump in your mind.
Exactly, and it further proves the point that all magic or all power comes at a price.
Exactly, and so Ashley regrets it terribly and starts taking Emma's advice and runs away. And I think she actually clocks Gold in the head, like.
Yeah, and runs away.
Him.
Which is not, running away from your problems is never good because your problems will always catch up to you.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Gold hires Emma to go hunt her down, and Emma's trying to stall for time, but can't really do too much. It's Storybrooke. It's not that big of a town.
Yeah.
So then Ashley goes into labor, and this whole time, like, Emma's trying to find the boyfriend / husband of Cinderella, and she finally does, but then his dad's like, whoa, no, he's not going to marry that whore.
Yes. Kinda.
No.
No.
But Emma's like, dude, don't be a jerk. Like, that's your baby.
Exactly.
So anyway, she goes into labor. Ella, Ashley, whatever her name is, over there, in labor, and Gold's like running around trying to find her, and the dude shows up, and he's like, I love you, let's raise a family together. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, it's so good. And right before that, you kind of flash back to something crazy happens in the Enchanted Forest, which I caught after watching the full series and then coming back and rewatching it, is that Cinderella is one of the few people that can ever trick Gold.
Yeah.
So what you see in the Enchanted Forest is that she goes back to Gold and she's like, let's strike another deal. Because obviously she doesn't want to give him the baby. She's a smart girl. She tells her prince and she tells Charming what's happening and how Gold is gonna take the baby.
And they come up with a plan together
to trick Rumpelstiltskin, which is not happening. You cannot trap this guy.
Insane.
Yeah, he is
a godfather.
He's a godfather. He's 10 steps ahead of you. Always. Like, you can't win in this, like, little life.
But she gets him with his weakness.
What is it?
Power.
And deals.
She's
power. Smart.
Because
she's one of the few characters who's ever done that.
She says, I'm having twins.
Yeah.
I have one baby, but I can turn that baby into two.
Yeah, she totally lies about it. And he buys it because he can't resist a good deal. Like, I can have two babies. Like, and they make a deal because if she gave him her babies, then they would have a peaceful life. Her and her prince would live happily ever after. And he signs with the ink, the squid ink.
And it's a magical squid ink that just makes him freeze and lose his power.
And that's when Charming and her prince pop out and they trap Rumpelstiltskin, and you're like, oh my god, like Rumpelstiltskin is trapped. But it's kind of a flashback to how he is entrapped. At the beginning, you see him entrapped in the pilot, and you're like, oh, how did he get trapped? Yeah. So that's kind of going back, and it's, I love this. I freaking love this episode because it's just so smart. And if you realize nobody has ever like been able to do that kind of thing to Rumple again, which is so
really
cool.
Awesome.
And then at the end, there's something that happens with Regina and Graham.
Oh man, I was so mad about this. So, you see Regina kind of throughout the episode. She's got something going on with somebody, and you're like, what's going on with that? And you also see this little flirty thing between Emma and Graham, and you're like, I want to see more of that. And then at the end of the episode, you see Regina, and she's getting ready to leave. Clearly, she's done something dirty. And she tells whoever she's with that his socks are under the bed. And lo and behold, who bends down and picks up the socks? But Graham! I was so mad. So mad. Nope.
I was mad too.
This can't happen.
Heck no.
As much as I love Regina, and I will tell you, I love Regina. Evil, good, whatever. I think her character is awesome. But no. No. Not Graham.
She crossed the line. He
so
crossed the
sweet.
line. Like,
what's up with that?
I know. It left a sour taste in your mouth. I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens in the next episode of Once Upon a Time. Subscribe below.
And leave your questions and comments.
Yes, we would love to hear them. What did you think of this episode?